The pressure is rising inside Naturena, and Kaizer Chiefs fans can feel it. Because after years of frustration, disappointment, and watching rivals dominate South African football, Amakhosi are finally beginning to look like a team ready to fight again. But now one massive question is taking over the conversation. Did Kaizer Chiefs miss a golden opportunity to become PSL champions this season? And while supporters continue debating that painful reality, another emotional story is exploding around the club, as Brandon Petersen's incredible rise between the posts has now pushed him directly into the Bafana Bafana World Cup conversation, with Cedric Kaze himself openly backing the goalkeeper to represent South Africa on football's biggest stage. This is not just another ordinary Kaizer Chiefs update. This is a story about redemption, ambition, missed opportunities, and the signs that something special could finally be building at one of the biggest clubs in African football. When the season started, very few people truly believed Kaizer Chiefs could become serious contenders again. The scars of previous campaigns were still fresh. The criticism was everywhere, and fans were tired of hearing promises without seeing results on the pitch. But slowly, week after week, something started changing inside this team. The performances became stronger, the confidence grew, and suddenly Amakhosi were no longer just surviving matches. They were competing, fighting, and showing glimpses of the dominant mentality supporters have been demanding for years. One of the biggest reasons behind that transformation has been the man standing between the posts, Brandon Petersen, who has quietly produced one of the most impressive goalkeeping seasons in the PSL 15 clean sheets. Let that sink in. 15 times Brandon Petersen shut opponents out and gave Kaizer Chiefs a foundation to build on. In modern football, consistency is everything, and Petersen delivered it under enormous pressure. Every week, the expectations at Chiefs are massive, because this is not just another football club. This is Kaizer Chiefs, a club where every mistake is magnified, every performance is analyzed, and every player carries the weight of millions of supporters across South Africa and beyond. Yet despite all that pressure, Petersen remained calm, focused, and reliable, becoming one of the key leaders in Amakhosi's push toward a third-place finish. And now, the reward many fans believe he deserves could be bigger than anyone imagined: the Bafana Bafana World Cup squad. Imagine the emotion of that moment. Imagine Brandon Petersen completing one of the greatest comeback stories in South African football by earning a place on the plane to represent his country at the biggest tournament in the world. The goalkeeper himself remains humble, grounded, and deeply emotional when speaking about the possibility. He admitted that the hope is always there, but at the same time, he understands that football can be unpredictable. Petersen made it clear that his focus has simply been performing week in and week out, leaving the rest in God's hands. And that mentality is exactly why so many people inside South African football respect him. No arrogance, no entitlement, just hard work, discipline, and belief. But perhaps the strongest statement came from Kaizer Chiefs co-coach Cedric Kaze, who did not hesitate to publicly back Petersen for Bafana Bafana selection. Kaze believes the goalkeeper fully deserves the opportunity because of the qualities and consistency he has shown throughout the season, and honestly, many supporters would agree with him. In a season where Chiefs desperately needed stability, Petersen delivered. In games where the pressure could have crushed the team, he stood tall. And in moments where Amakhosi needed leadership, he answered the call. This is why the World Cup conversation is becoming louder every single day. At the same time, though, there is another feeling growing inside Naturena, a painful feeling that this season could have been even bigger. Yes, Kaizer Chiefs improved dramatically. Yes, finishing third represents clear progress compared to previous years. Yes, the club finally looks competitive again. But Cedric Kaze's latest comments reveal something deeper inside the camp. Regret. The co-coach openly admitted that the PSL title race had no dominant team this season, and that Chiefs were close to the top until late January. That statement alone will frustrate supporters because it confirms what many fans already suspected. This was one of the best opportunities Amakhosi have had in years to challenge for the championship. Think about it carefully. There was no unstoppable machine running away with the league. The competition was open. Every team was dropping points. Momentum kept shifting. And for a period of the season, Kaizer Chiefs were right there in the fight. But inconsistency once again became their biggest enemy. Small mistakes, dropped points, matches they should have controlled slipping away. Those moments ultimately created the gap between competing and conquering. Kaze admitted the team learned painful lessons from failing to stay in contact with the log leaders. And that honesty shows the mentality inside the club is changing. They are no longer celebrating small improvements alone. They want more. They believe this team deserves more. And maybe that is the most important part of this entire story. For the first time in a long time, Kaizer Chiefs are starting to sound like a club with real ambition again. The standards are rising, the expectations are rising, the players are beginning to believe again. The coaching staff can see the potential, and the supporters can finally feel hope returning to Naturena. Because even though this season may end with the painful thought of what could have been, it also sends a powerful warning to the rest of the PSL. Kaizer Chiefs are rebuilding. Slowly, carefully, but steadily. Now the big challenge becomes what happens next. Can Chiefs maintain this momentum? Can they strengthen the squad during the transfer window? Can they finally turn improvement into silverware next season? And perhaps most importantly, can players like Brandon Petersen continue inspiring the team with performances that match the badge they wear? These are the questions that will define the future of Amakhosi football. One thing is certain, though, the story at Kaizer Chiefs is far from over. The emotions are growing, the expectations are returning, and the pressure is becoming bigger than ever. Brandon Petersen's World Cup dream is now alive. Cedric Kaze is demanding higher standards, and Amakhosi fans are beginning to believe that the sleeping giant of South African football may finally be waking up again. And if this season was only the beginning, then the rest of the PSL should already be very worried. Stay locked in with Master Sports for all the latest Kaizer Chiefs news, transfer drama, breaking PSL stories, and emotional football storytelling, because the next chapter at Naturena could be the biggest one yet.